Peter here, aka Peter Freak Out 10, bringing you guys our episode of the Movie Review Show, with the good movies are always reviewed. Okay, back into our movie review. Now, on today's episode, today's film, I literally don't know what to say. Because, sorry I burped there, but so much that needed to be said about this film has already been said. Literally, this film needs no friggin' introduction. I know I say that a lot, but this film in particular needs no introduction at all. Because if you talk to anybody about this film, whether they're in the sci-fi genre or the action genre, chances are people have seen this film and said so many good things about it. Because this film left a landmark on those two genres. Almost in the same way the Terminator did it. It's coincidental bringing up the Terminator because later on, these two would later get a crossover fighting each other in a comic book series and a video game. Well, on many different systems, so video games. But, yeah, and so many years later, people still love this film. Why? Because not only does it give a representation of what the future is coming to, but it also reminds us of why 80s action films were so awesome. And what film is that, you may ask? That film is none other than RoboCop. What can be said about this film? What can be said about RoboCop? Well, I can start off by saying it's a 1987 film that is directed by Paul Verhoeven. And for those who don't know, Paul Verhoeven, this is a guy who directed some earlier films, but after he directed this, he later became a big name in the action genre because he did this film. He also went on to do, what's that one film? Total Recall, that's the name of it. I haven't seen that film at all. I just know about it. I have the DVD over there. Gonna watch it for the first time in the future, but yeah. I guess sneeze. No, I thought I was gonna sneeze for some reason, but moving on. He also directed what's that film? Basic Instinct, which I haven't seen. He directed Starship Troopers with Casper Van Dien, which I saw a long time ago. I remember liking that film. He also directed Hollow Man, which I like. I like that movie. And yes, he directed Showgirls, which nobody directing that wants to have their name on it. And I think anybody who was involved in that film regrets it. Let's be honest. Let's not placate it. But that film sucks. But RoboCop, as I said, was his big break. And it was a film that was a tough film to make. Not in the sense that there was production problems and whatnot, but it was tough in the sense that people were scared as hell about this film. Well, I should say they were scared, but in my eyes, I could see it as a film that's like, when you're making a film like this, chances are you're going to be scared because when this film was being made, it was originally supposed to be a Judge Dredd film. Before we got the Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone. And I love that film. Might do a review on it in the future. But I don't know what happened. I read somewhere that they didn't have enough money or they couldn't get the rights, so they tossed that away. However, later on they were like, you know what, let's pick up the pieces and use some characteristics of Judge Dredd and the attributes that made Judge Dredd and put that into our own character. And so they did all that and pretty much gave the directing job to Paul Verhoeven. And when Paul Verhoeven took one look at the script, he absolutely hated it, threw it in the trash. But his wife saw it and was like, you know what, why don't you give it a shot? It may not be that bad. I think you may like it. And so Paul Verhoeven, with his wife wishing him to do it, he said, okay. So pretty much went ahead and did it. And I can honestly say this was a tough film to make because this is a film where you're creating a character that has no background to him. And what I mean by that is, whereas, like, yeah, Tim Burton's Batman coming along the way, which so many people know the Batman character from the comic books, and around this time you had Superman 1 and 2. And those films were successful because everybody knew the character, everybody understood, like, the character's background, they were all excited to see him on the big screen. With RoboCop, though, even though after this he was given the sequel and so many other spin-offs and toys, creating this film and bringing this character into the world of movies was a bit of a tough call, because it could mean a disaster for the company, it could mean a disaster for the box office. But surprisingly, when the film came out, as low as his budget was, because it had a $13 million budget, which is hard to see with this film, it did really well. It performed beyond everybody's expectations. It made 53.4. The reception was very good. It has an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. And to this day, everybody remembers the film. It's made its way into the top 10. And at the time of its release, British director Ken Russell said this was the best science fiction film since Fritz Lang's Metropolis, and that's a pretty big claim to make. But yeah, this film performed well beyond everybody's expectation, and RoboCop has since become a household name in geekdom and sci-fi, and everybody just loves the character. Now, with all that being said, what do I have to say about this film? I love this film. I adore this film. And I'm going to say this right now, this was a childhood favorite of mine. Because this was one of the few R-rated films that I was allowed to watch as a child with my dad. And every time it was on TV, we would watch it. No matter what time it was, we were watching it. This is one of those films that I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And I just never got tired of it. I mean, granted, I don't watch it all the time, but it's still one of my all-time favorite action films, and it's one of those films that I'm grateful to watch, whereas so many films today are becoming so PG and people are becoming so worried about stuff. I am grateful that my dad showed me this film, showed me what a real action film is, and this is true action movie awesomeness. I love this film, and I'm going to say that a lot in this review, but I'll get into why I love this film later. But the film stars Peter Weller, who, while he was doing movies around the time, this is where he became a household name. He would later go on to do Naked Lunch with David Cronenberg, which David Cronenberg directed. Let's see what else he's done. I'm not really sure. He was in Butch and the Sundance, the early days, Just Tell Me What You Want, Shoot the Moon, Of Unknown Origin, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, Firstborn, A Killing Affair, Shakedown, Leviathan, which I actually have over there. I actually showed that in a video a long time ago. Cat Chaser, of course, the sequel to this film. The sequel was his last time playing this character, because afterwards he gave the role to Robert John Burke, and since then the role's been passed down to many other people, among many other films. But this is the role that I remember him the most for. This is literally the role I remember him the most for, and I'll get into all that later. You also have Nancy Allen in this film, who would make her a role in 2 and 3. Well, I should say make her role. She would reprise her role in 2 and 3. She was also in Poltergeist 3. She had a role in Children of the Corn 6. Among many others. You have Ronnie Cox in this film from Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. He had a quick role in Deep Blue Sea. Was that him in Deep Blue Sea, or was it something else? Yeah, it was him. He was the boss. He was Franklin's boss. You have Kurtwood Smith, Topher Grace's dad from That 70s Show. Yeah, Miguel Ferrer, who, this is a guy that, I remember he had a quick role in The Guardian. He was in Stephen King's Night Flyer, among many others. You also have, Daniel Hurley, who was the villain in Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. He was also in The Virgin Queen, The Dead, among many others. He was also in The Rat Pack, which was the final role he did. I don't know what happened to him afterwards, but yeah. You also have Ray Wise in this film. I never knew that Ray Wise was in this till I actually watched some video. And for those who don't know, that he was in Twin Peaks. He was the father of the girl in that film. He was also in Jeepers Creepers 2, which I'll talk about sometime later, among other films. You have Paul McCrane here from the Shawshank Redemption, and he was also in The Blob, among many others. Felton Perry's here, and among many other people. But, hold on, sorry about that, guys, just clicked out something. But, as I said, I love this film. I do. And I just adore this film. I adore it with every part of my heart. In fact, I even want a RoboCop poster. I may sound like a crazy fan, but I want a RoboCop poster. That's how much I love this film. I know I don't have one now, but that's crazy to say, but I agree with a lot of the critics. This film has just left such an impact on my childhood that I'm actually surprised that my dad let me watch it. I'm surprised with growing up, I'm just surprised at the fandom that this film has, and I'm grateful about this fandom because this is one of those films that I just love. I love this film, and I'll get into all that later. But anyway, the basic plot of the film is basically this. We meet this cop named Alex Murphy, played by Peter Weller, who has transferred to a department in Detroit where basically crime is amok, officers are getting killed, and OCP is trying to basically make a super cop to basically try and save the people. And they try, and you see like this scene with them testing out this new firepower named Ed 209, which doesn't go so well. And one person said this, my subscriber, I should say subscriber, a user on here I know a lot of people say subscriber about stuff, but a user on here named Matt brought up this scene, and it's basically where, like, in the boardroom meeting, this poor guy gets shot the heck out of him by Ed 209 because of a malfunction, and one of the people in there is like, call a paramedic! And yeah, you see that the economy's going to pretty much to junk, and while that's going on, like, Peter Weller's character, Murphy, is teamed up with this woman named, what's her name? I just saw the film, Ann Lewis, and basically they're stopping this bank robbery led by this guy named Clarence Bondiger. And basically they chase him to the steel mill, and Murphy goes in alone, and out of nowhere, the gang overpowers him and shoots the hell out of him. And literally the most grotesque shootout I have ever seen on film. In fact, I think this scene was almost the main reason this film got an X. But he gets shot the heck out of him, almost to the point where if that happened to anybody, I think they would not have any more arms and legs. Let's be honest here. But gets the heck shot out of him and shot in the head, and he gets taken to the hospital where he's presumed dead. But the company, led by this guy named Bob, played by Miguel Ferreira, who's working on this project of creating his own cop, basically gets a hold of Murphy's corpse and turns him into RoboCop. And pretty much now that RoboCop's on the force, now he's pretty much arresting people. And out of nowhere, he gets his memory back because the brain that Murphy had, out of nowhere, wakes up. They put his brain in there, even though they wiped his memory clean. And pretty much, he wakes up and pretty much is now out for revenge. All the while, this pretty much this one guy at the place there, Dick, played by Ronnie Cox, who's pretty much one of the workers there of this company called OCP Communications. Is that it? Yeah, OCP Communications, where pretty much he gets jealous because Miguel Ferrer is getting like praise and whatnot, and he wanted to be the one who pretty much he wants to build like this whole thing called Delta City, and because crime is going down, that's immediately throwing that to the side, and he doesn't want that. He wants pretty much RoboCop to be destroyed so that that player can move forward. And because he's in cahoots with Clarence Bondiger, he decides that he's going to send him to try and destroy RoboCop. And this also means good for RoboCop because now that Murphy has his memory back, he can exact his revenge on Clarence and his gang. Will RoboCop be able to get his revenge with the help of his friend Aunt Lewis? Or will he be the next one to be crushed to metal and shot to bits like he once was? But RoboCop... Oh, I love this film. I really love this film. And I know I sound like I'm geekgasming on this film, but I just love this film. I really do. This film just, to me, is every representation of why I love 80s action films. And what do I like about it? I really love the story of the film. I love the fact that the film also kind of has this broad, deep message about the environment and how stuff is going to junk. And it's really done really well. Like how satirizing the future, satirizing the commercials going on, like a few of the commercials, which are actually really funny in this film. Like the Newcomb commercial, "You cross my line of death." And I think it's really funny in this film. But besides that, it's also a character study on like Murphy regaining his memories, and I think it's done really well in this film. Like the scenes when you first see him as RoboCop, and like when he comes in, you think everything's cool, but once you see him regaining his memory and putting the pieces together about himself and finding out that he was human, it really is impactful. And I love how the film conveys it. I really love the scenes. Like the one scene in particular where Alex Murphy, I should say, because a lot of people just call him Murphy, but a few days after he becomes RoboCop, he goes to like his apartment where his wife has left him, and just how this scene is where he gets visions of the memories of his wife and his child, the moments that they shared. It's all really depressing, and you feel bad for this guy. You feel bad that it's like, wow, we never got to share more moments like these. Even when he picks up the picture from Halloween, it's like, it's really well done, and you really feel something. And I think the writer, what's this written? No, it wasn't written by Frank Miller. He did the second one, which I gotta show something in an update later. But yeah, I just love the emotion in this film. I love the action. I love how the message is conveyed about the future and what it's coming to. And it also is very deep. It's such a deep film that I don't think I've seen any other action film besides Terminator 2 be this deep. And I'm willing to say this, I like this film just a little bit more than Terminator 2. I know, shocking, right? I don't want to get a lot of hate for that, but I just feel this film really does it really well in this film. Especially that whole scene. And Paul Verhoeven does a great job shooting this film. Paul Verhoeven does a really good job shooting this film. I mean, the film to some people may look grainy and whatnot. Believe me, it is. In fact, you can see some white lines popping and whatnot. But it really didn't bother me because the film was made on a $13 million budget. And I have seen films like that that look very cheap, like Van Wilder and whatnot. But it is shot really well for what they had to do. It doesn't look cheap at all. I think it's definitely well filmed in a lot of parts. The directing here is top notch. the production design of like the future and like the few scenes of where the action is all really well done, and it's all really put to the screen really well. And it's just one of those things that I think with action films coming along the way that I think that we don't see as much anymore, but this film I think really does it really well in this film. But yeah, the production design is top notch. The view that Paul Verhoeven has of the future is top notch, especially with the satirizations are really well done and can be really funny at some parts. So yeah, the directing is top notch, and just to add more awesomeness and really well done like whipped cream to the ice cream, better than salt on the wound. The acting here is also awesome. Starting off with our main character, Alex Murphy, played by Peter Weller. You couldn't have gone someone better. I know originally they wanted Rutger Hauer or Arnold Schwarzenegger to be in the role. I don't know how that would have went. I do think that Arnold, though, I would have scrapped because of the fact that Arnold's already played the Terminator. He doesn't need to play another robot. Peter Weller knocked this role out of the park, literally. In fact, every time I was little, I used to go around quoting, "Dead or alive, you are coming with me." I used to do that. I was even RoboCop for Halloween when I was little. That's how obsessed I was with this movie. I was RoboCop for Halloween one year, and it was, without a doubt, the best gift my parents had ever given me. And yeah, but Peter Weller knocked this role out of the park. He brought this character that wasn't in a comic book, would later become in a comic book though, but he brought him to life perfectly. And I love the fact that in the beginning of the film, like, it takes its time. It takes its time to show Murphy at the police station, and it really kind of hints at his life at home and whatnot. And I think it's done really well in this film. It's not spoon-fed to us, and Peter Weller, like, with the scene where you see him in his human, like, state and whatnot, and he seems like a nice guy. In fact, he's so nice that when he gets shot to heck, you care about him. He has this presence to him when he is human of just this likable, really nice guy that I don't think any other actor could have given. Even Arnold, I don't think, could have done it as well as Peter Weller. Even Rutger Hauer, as much as I like him. But yeah, I love him in that role, in the human state, but later on when he becomes RoboCop, much like Jim Carrey in The Mask, it almost feels like a completely different character. It almost feels like he's transformed into something else, and I love the transformation of the character and to like this mechanical form that he's in, and even with the visor on, which is like my favorite part, like that scene I just mentioned with him at his home, with like him looking around, like you don't really see too much of his face till later on in the film when you see what they've done to him. You just see the mouth right there. And I love that. And I think it conveys a huge amount of emotion. And just by seeing the face, like the mouth here and whatnot, I think it's even more emotional. I literally think it's more emotional with that whole part. So yeah, but Peter Weller did a phenomenal job. Even when he has to be intimidating, he's intimidating. I buy him as this character. I literally bought him as this character in the same way I buy Arnold as the bad guy in Terminator. Even as the good guy, but bad guy I buy more. But Peter Weller did a phenomenal job. The suit on him, I gotta mention this. I know I mentioned effects at the end, but the suit on him is phenomenal, which is done by Rob Bottin, the same guy who I think did the effects for The Thing. I could be wrong. What is this? Yeah, he did the effects for King Kong, Parada, Airplane. Yeah, The Thing. He also did it for The Howling, too. But the suit on him looks great. It's really lifelike and whatnot. In fact, even towards the end, when you see Murphy take off the helmet and you see his face there, it's all really well done. You actually feel it. You feel it. You feel the presence of this character. As he walks and whatnot, it's just all really well done in this film. Really well done. Rob Bottin is just such a talented makeup artist, and I think this film proves it. But Peter Weller's performance, I love how robotic it is when he's in the character, and I just think he did it perfectly in this film. So, yeah. But Nancy Allen in this film, she's Lewis, the partner and whatnot, and I thought she had a really good presence in this film. Like, I love the part where after Murphy is shot up and how guilt-stricken she is, like, you feel that in her. And even after, like, even though she goes on about it, she's not, like, dwelling over it, like, you get the sense that you're like, wow, this guy, like, how he acts, like, when she first sees RoboCop, she's like, I've seen this guy before, because you guys know the gun trick that he does, but she gets the idea that she's seen this guy before, and, like, when, like, she starts to, like, talk to him, like, that one scene in the film later, like, when she goes up to him and asks him, what's your name, and she's like, and he says, how can I help you, Officer Lewis, and she recognizes him, and she's like, Murphy, it's you. It's just really... She just did a really well done. And I like the chemistry between the two. I like the fact that she doesn't become the girlfriend. I almost said boyfriend. That'd be weird. But she doesn't become the girlfriend of, like, RoboCop. You can tell that he still cares about his wife. I like the fact that they're just partners. I mean, my brother, who doesn't like this film, was like, my brother's the only one of the million people who don't like this film. But... not complaining there, but I'm just surprised about that. But, yeah, I like the fact that, just want to get something out of the way, I forgot, but he said, like, she's just the love interest. I like the fact that she's not the love interest. She's a partner to him. And I think you feel more of the chemistry between the two growing more as partners rather than love interest. And that doesn't defeat, like, the drama that Murphy is feeling over the fact that he wasn't allowed to be with his wife because he was in the state that he was in. So, yeah, I love that. I love Nancy Allen, their chemistry between the two, like, when she's helping him, like, fix his aim on his gun. That scene was really well done. So, Nancy Allen, I think nobody else could have done it better but her. Daniel Hurley, there's not much to him. He's basically more of, like, the guy in the background who's, like, there, like, the mean businessman. I mean, I definitely feel like I wish there could have been more to him, but they fixed that in the sequel, which I'll talk about at our time. But here I thought he did it well and whatnot. Kurtwood Smith is such a riot. He is such a hoot to watch. Like, the few scenes of him where he's, like, making one-liners and whatnot, like the part where he's in the drug house with this one guy, and he's like, ooh, guns, 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 and he's like, come on, the Tigers are playing tonight. I love his, like, face and whatnot, or the scenes where, like, the scene where he brings him into the police station, and he spits blood on the thing, and he's like, just give me my effing phone call. Kurtwood Smith is such a riot to watch, and even his partner there, like the one black guy, Ray Wise there, like the black guy is always laughing like, I can't do his laugh, but he was such a good bad guy, and he's just one of those bad guys that really doesn't have a motive to him, and just takes pleasure in, like, hurting people, blowing up stuff, because you can tell he's chaos. You can tell that he's the chaos man. And just a few scenes there I think are great. And he's just such a memorable bad guy. You love to hate this guy. And even when he blows Murphy to heck, it's still done really, really well in this film. So, yeah. Love Kurtwood Smith. Love the few scenes that he's in. I do admit I did laugh at the part where when he does shoot Murray, he's like, you know, I got this problem. Cops don't like me, so I don't like them. He was such awesome. I mean, just great bad guy. Ronnie Cox, he's like the second bad guy because he's in cahoots with Kurtwood Smith or Clarence Bondiger. He definitely has a presence there. it's more established on like, oh, like he's in the tower and he's like the one looking over everything as they do his work, and he's more or less the one who's like, where you know this guy has something planned. He's more or less that kind of villain. Like, the one scene in, like, the bathroom with him and Bob, played by Miguel Ferrer, you could tell that he has something planned for this guy. You could tell that he's like, you know something, dude? I'm gonna mess you up. And I wouldn't stay in this job. I don't even know why Bob doesn't tell, like, the people there. He was just, like, blowing it off because I don't know what this guy will do to me. I don't think he'll hurt me or anything. But, yeah. Ronnie Cox, I thought, did a good job. Let me fix that there. But, yeah, definitely more for him to do in this than Beverly Hills Cop, even though I love his performance in Beverly Hills Cop 1. I haven't seen the other two yet. Will in the future, but definitely really enjoy his performance in this film. Definitely a guy you love to hate. I mean, you hate Kurtwood Smith more, but this guy is such a good bad guy. He's definitely a crazy one at that, too. Not as crazy as the other guy, but he's there. The other bad guys, like Ray Wise, I thought he did a good job. Let me get back there. The guy who plays Emil, I thought he did a good job. Like the part with him in like the gas station. Ray Wise, Paul McCray, that's the guy's name. Felton Perry, and Miguel Ferrer. This is a guy who, as I said, I've seen before, but never an entire movie. Night Flyer, I subject to that Night Flyer, but never an entire film where he plays a key part on the side and whatnot, because most of the film, like, he's just there for a couple seconds and then he's gone. Like Guardian and whatnot. Besides this and, say, Night Flyer. Oh, wait, I forgot he was in, god dang Mulan. I forgot that, but I take that back. In my experience, I should say, because I haven't seen Mulan in a while. I'm talking about now, but, I never seen an entire film where he had, like, a key part in it. And this film, I thought he did a good job. He's basically playing the guy who's, like, happy to be where he is after he's created RoboCop. And he takes pride, even though he took pride in his experiment, he's willing to, like, say, like, I'm just gonna frolic in my riches that I've earned so far. Like, you see him out, like, at his house, I should say, like, having sex with these I should say hookers, they're models, and, like, snorting coke off the one woman's breasts, and I will admit, I have fun watching him in this role. I have fun watching him, how he's, like, so full of himself. In fact, even Ronnie Cox calls him cocky and whatnot. I still thought he did a good job. He definitely brought the character to life really well. Other actors, I think, did a good job. Overall, the acting in the film is top-notch. The score by Basil Palladores is phenomenal. I always remember the score to this film, and I always listen to it. That score is awesome, and that theme right there is RoboCop for me. Every time I hear that theme, I immediately think RoboCop. That theme is just great. So yeah, really love, like, the score, and as I said, not only is the suit phenomenal, but the other effects of this film are tremendous. This film, if you're looking for action, blood, and gore, this film has it. As I said, the scene where he gets shot to heck was almost the reason this film got an X rating. The practical effects of that scene of, like, the hand getting shot off are friggin' phenomenal. You could CGI it, and it still would, as good as it would look, it still would be as real as practicality. This film shows how practicality can work in action films. Because you get great practicality, great stop motion, great, just all around some great stuff in the film. Great suit design. Also, like, the stop motion on Ed 209, that one action scene where he's chasing him down the stairs. That scene I thought was great. And the stop motion there I think is really well done. The one scene where that guy gets shot to heck, practical blood squibs, which I wish they would do more films. I don't know why they're so lazy that they can't do that. Why is it so hard to give practical blood squibs? No more of this CGI junk. I don't know why they can't do that. But overall, RoboCop is a great film. Actually, I take that back. RoboCop is a fantastic film. And I oblige anyone to definitely check it out. And honestly, I have no problems with this film. I literally have no problems at all with this film. This is one of those films that I think is near perfect. So, either way, if you're looking for a fantastic 80s action film, I highly recommend you check out RoboCop. This film is just phenomenal. So, I give RoboCop a 10 out of 10. And it gets my seal of approval. Definitely one that I recommend you check out. Even if you haven't seen it, I still recommend you check this film out. This is just the quintessential action film that will always be in my top 10 or top 20 or top 100. This film is just pure excellence. But yeah, that's my review on RoboCop. After, like, the success of RoboCop, of course, like, there had to be sequels of comic books, but show those. In fact, I got an update I want to show. But yeah, that is my review on RoboCop, and next time I'm going to review Bad Boys 2. I have a review of Hard to Kill coming, among many others, and I also have an update planned too that I'm going to show you guys. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of RoboCop, and be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.